a rusty freight railway called the High Line. We're going to build a bigger convention center 3 times bigger than Vegas near the airports in Queens. We've got other plans. Landed the jet plane in the river. I had the day off. Aren't you glad I'm here? Yeah, baby. Okay. Plenty of time to get to the Empire State Building top. If you didn't know, the observation deck opened at 8 this morning, and it stays open till 2 tomorrow morning. For you lovebirds, and you know who you are. 34th Street, 5th Avenue, Empire. Feeling overwhelmed by New York City? Relax. Bunch of small towns join a big corporation together. Always creative. Dylan Thomas, Thomas Wolfe, Mark Twain, Arthur Miller, Edna St. Vincent Millay, and Sid Vicious. Created here. Try creative today. Inland nightclubs. If you see Lindsay Lohan or Amanda Bynes, run. Celebrities, magazines, and studios host release parties. The largest indoor rock climbing wall in New York State. A gymnastics gym. Directly behind the 4-level golf driving range cage on your left, for the past 2 decades have been interior sets for Law and Order TV shows. SVU has been here 15 years. 2-tone tower in the flag. That entire hill is the Stevens where you see the poles or pilings in the water. All that remains of the building at Pier 56, and that's where the Titanic was supposed to dock. On your right is your new creative capital, Hoboken, New Jersey. Left of the crane, the first church you see above the treetops is the church. It cannot grow out 1.3 square miles. Who put Hoboken on the map? The chairman of the board. Sticking out on the right, the pier with the trees, the copper gazebo, Francis Albert Sinatra Park. Frank Sinatra and baseball. Yes, you heard me. Baseball. Born in Hoboken, New Jersey. Daughter Alexis, Nicole Kidman, and husband Keith Urban have all had apartments here. Or still do. When they move, they don't tell me. Panels to turn totally green. When we get beyond the terminal, near the cranes, you're in Jersey City, New Jersey, on the right. Like a parking garage in Soho, south of Houston Street. Soho. Community in the U.S. with all the new residential and corporate buildings. You want to see the past? Look left. Take train on the weekend for the next 6 months. Saltwater corroding cables from inside out. Raise your hand if in the last 5 years, in the 60s, to dig a foundation for those twin towers was carted across the highway and dumped in this tub on your left, you're looking at 92 acres of residential landfill attached onto the financial district. Century, Jersey City and New York City will compete over the same corporate clients. Tax revenues at stake. Each city's fiscal future is on the line. It will cost more than $18 billion to build buildings at the tree. Today, next to this building, in the tents, you get on the ferry, buy the ticket, get on the ferry to the statue. The statue is partially open for Ellis Island. 8 million future Americans squeeze through it. Above the treetops, long gray building with pink shingles and green trim. In the latest Spider-Man movies, police headquarters. Reality, the museum, Broadway and Twain Street, the African slave burial grounds. Slaves built the first version of the city, New Amsterdam, the Dutch colony. Any ethnic group in the Western Hemisphere, 4 of the world's major religions, have a monument of connection in or near here. So get out of Midtown, come downtown. If you explore New York City's roots at the southern tip, you'll discover your own roots. On the right, Ellis Island. Life's good, business good, Daughter marries a British officer. It's 1775. So you see, within a year, he's got this choice. For the oncoming war, back family or colony to become country. Surely he was sympathetic to the colony, but couldn't break his daughter's heart, went with family. After the war, he goes back to England. His granddaughter sold the island to the new U.S. government. You ever ride the 4 or 5 relatives? More than 98% got in, less than 2% sent back. That's going to be a big baseball contract. Have you seen the light? In her right hand, a torch. That's a symbol of wisdom or enlightenment. National Honor Society symbol's a torch. The copper flame is covered in 24-karat gold leaf, gold thinner than a single sheet of newspaper, reflecting sunlight or spotlight. Is she dressed in Athenian Grecian robes, for Athens is democracy's birthplace, or a Roman garment? Doulas given Roman slaves when set free. The scholars debate. No debate for me, like Heinz ketchup down to the others equally. In a stable democracy, laws are applied equally. Rome, the great city of written law. Written on the keystone, the Roman numerals, spelled July 4th, 1776. The Declaration of Independence, the keystone of our democracy. But for women, for African Americans, we defaulted on the promise. Democracy, nothing, but a dream deferred. That's why her right leg is behind her left. She's actually walking free of the broken chains of slavery at her feet. Barely footnoted in the news. Think how far we've come. As our captain makes a picture-perfect turn, on your left, a picture postcard of Verrazano Bridge. Staten Island, the right side of the bridge, hard hit by the storm. If you would like to be a blessing, go there and spend money. Snug Harbor Cultural Center, historic Richmond Town, the St. George Theater, the minor league Staten Island Yankees. They could use your money. Left side of the bridge, Brooklyn, Coney Island out that way, and National Park Historic District. There's a special carousel exhibit here. Island on your left from the big storm, but then there's Sandy. Normally a storm travels northeast into the Atlantic. Sandy turned northwest. So the seawall that keeps most storms out was the bathtub plug that kept the water in. But you see, we're pushing the ocean freight industry out. On the right, the one big beige warehouse was converted to condominiums. The pier warehouses are being torn down for parkland, making wealthy residents of Brooklyn Heights, above the highway on your right, Brooklyn Heights, they get wealthier as the parkland increases their land value. Tallest in 1913, paid for in cash, no mortgage cash. Do you know what you call the top sale of big skyscrapers possible? All this bridge did was change the world. The Brooklyn Bridge, a $500 million makeover, is considerably cheaper than to replace it, which would cost $2 billion. Confucius Plaza in Chinatown. Canal, the informal border between Chinatown and Little Italy. Over your head now, the Lower East Side Tenement Museum. Lower East Side Tenement Museum, 103 Orchard Street. 103 Orchard Street takes you through the home of immigrants from the late 1800s to the early 1900s. Out of the ashes. By the middle of the century, the entire coast of Manhattan will be parkland. Rising out of the ashes, a great bridge. The problem is we push industry out. The city is a service economy. We depend on Wall Street and you. September 11th, both took major hits. The city is staring at a $6.5 billion budget deficit. What is it they preached on Wall Street regarding... Twice bankrupt by 96, Pan American Airlines let it go to the receiver, Metropolitan Life, who has since sold it. They do not own the building. They only... The United Nations comes up on your left. The other end of 42nd Street. First, locate the white telecom dish. The dish is just above the highway. Left of the dish, kind of blocking the view now, is the employee cafeteria. Take the tour, you may dine there. Behind the cafeteria, the library stands a tick taller. Behind the dish, the tall 39-story tower of the Secretariat. Main office building, 1946 design and infrastructure. Remember that. Right of the dish, the long building on the water, the Security Council building. Behind it with the curved roof and the dome, the General Assembly building appears. In the dome, you'll see, is where the delegates meet. How much of your home or office is original 1946 design and infrastructure? Every building at the UN is getting extensive renovations. On your left, a white temporary building is used as they renovate sections. On your right used to be a Pepsi-Cola bottling plant. One condition. Between us and the Pepsi sign, Roosevelt Island begins. In the cement enclosure, there is a bust of FDR. And you see the Four Freedoms Park. But when you go to a Subway sandwich station, a Subway sandwich shop, I should say, look for Welfare Island in the wallpaper. See the remains of the old smallpox hospital here? The architect James Renwick later did St. Patrick's Cathedral. Once the mentally ill, the physically ill, and criminals were dumped on Welfare Island. Roosevelt Island today. This will be built here. Where you see Kohler Goldwater Hospital on your right today, by 2016, will be the only campus in the United States with a U.S. patent office on campus. The long-term facility for those with long-term spinal care needs or other palliative care is moving to East Harlem. On your left, one last tall apartment building with some beige cover on the left corner. Sigourney Weaver lives somewhere here. I don't know where, and she won't take my call. Bottom right of that, Sutton Place. On your left, a neighborhood of mansions clustered together for its own money in Sutton Place. We're going to go under the Edward I. Koch Queensboro Bridge, connecting the borough of Queens with 2nd Avenue, which I am obligated to point out because my last name, in fact, is Parker. More than any other. What's the population of New York City? What number do you want? Roosevelt Island. We translated Hell's Gate. We're in the East River now, but ahead of us to the right, under the bridges, on your right, Mill Rock Island. When the Army dynamited Hell's Gate, Mill Rock spun off on it, were rolled down and paddled along the edge. Used by the Army for classified World War II maneuvers, today classified as a bird sanctuary. Mill Rock Island, 55 feet at high tide. But you do have to radio the Coast Guard 4 hours ago for a total of 27. Most successful sports franchise in all of sports. The Boston Red Sox had a left-handed pitcher who pitched 23 2/3 scoreless innings, winning the Red Sox 1918 World Series. The letters are never the same. They wanted to produce the Broadway musical Faster. He knew that he could drive faster. We're both not faster off. After 1 year, I would even beat both sides from. People from New Amsterdam would come to Sightseeing. Let's visit the Bronx land. B-R-U-N-C-K. Note the distinction. As did playwright Neil Simon and entertainer Harry use needs repair. You can salvage pieces from the abandoned one and fix the one in use. What would you do with leftovers? No place to use them in Europe, ship them to New York. Go to the museum. Barnard Museum, smaller and a half-mile south. Washington loses again. For all of you looking to aid colonial history, Washington strategy or death. Protection for kids of all ages. We live happily ever after. On the left above the green glass, Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center.
Yeah, well, we've been standing for 3 hours. Standing just really does nothing. Yeah. Walking and everything. It's so weird. I have to look that up. Never looked up the app.
Look at that roller. Because you can never do enough for Mom. In the tower, the largest shoreline of bells in the world. 74 bells in all. And Mom, aren't your children your little angel? You look left of the tower with a flat roof and the slanted roof on the cathedral knee. That's a 14-foot tall statue of the Angel Brick Tower on your left. 2 empty flagpoles, a little taller than the other buildings, is part of Columbia University. It's actually the Barnard Women's College dorm at Columbia. I did not go to school at Columbia, although I have performed in the Horace Mann Theater here a bunch of times. Among your questions, shot in the neighborhood, 1984. Want to know what's really weird? Repeatedly. They went away. Only now, 4 years later, are they coming back? First question, 2 parts. Dave, what about things on the building? Water tanks. Why are they there? We need water. If you remember nothing else from today, water rolls downhill. The reservoirs are up in the mountains. They gravity feed New York City. When the water gets to New York, it's a similar style. That is a Civil War memorial. Out of the culture of the American Civil War, New York acquired the strangest nickname. Raised money to build a replica of a 19th century Hudson River cargo sloop with the green hull on your left. It's actually on the National Historic Registry of Historic Places, even though the Clearwater is rarely in one place for long. Sailboat on your left with the tall mast.